97.7 and 103.7 WTIB present Talk of the Town with Henry Hinton. News, sports, and community information, and everything that's going on around town. Now, with Talk of the Town, here's your host, Henry Hinton.
Today, we're going to have some of those guys. We're going to have a bunch of them, I think, stop by here. We already got one, and we're going to have more in a few minutes. Also, the Nutcracker is coming to Greenville, and we have one of the cast members who plays, am I going to get it right? Herr Drosselmeyer. Yes. Did I get it?
Yes.
All right. So we got Herr Drosselmeyer here this morning from the Nutcracker. Trent McGee is here. Good morning, McGee. And Mark Gentner is here as well. Good morning, Gentner.
Good morning, Henry.
How are you guys?
Good.
Big win for ECU last night. We talked about that earlier. We'll continue to kind of cover that. Good to have Heather Macy here this morning. We appreciate Heather being part of the show, and now she's off to get ready for ECU and Presbyterian at 11:30 this morning. A rare daytime 11:30 tip-off in the Coliseum this morning, McGee.
Yeah, but what a great way to give a chance for Pitt County schools to get their kids out and watch a game, and trying to break the record. It's the biggest crowd ever inside Minji, so it should be a lot of fun.
That'll be. I was, when Heather said they were going to try to break the record, I was thinking back to the old days when Kathy Andruzzi was here, and I mean. Not sure what the record is, but I remember the old Minji's being packed several times. I know when NC State came down, when Kay Yao was still the head coach, she came down and played Kathy Andruzzi, and I mean the place was, people were hanging from the rafters. It was a total sellout. So that had to have been like 6,500 people.
Yeah.
And then I know Southern Cal came here, and they were ranked number 1 or number 2. Southern Cal came here and played against East Carolina. Andruzzi had it going on here in women's basketball. I've told the story often about how I've often said that's why Dave Odom left, because the women were drawing 4,000 to 6,000 and the men were drawing like 800.
Wow.
So those days weren't let's say they weren't the glory days of ECU basketball, men's basketball.
Well, with her winning a record and continual years of it or whatever, she deserves to have people come out and see that program.
No doubt about it. And speaking of Kathy Andruzzi, she's only 8 wins now behind Andruzzi for fourth most all time at ECU.
Well, Kathy had a short run here. She didn't stay here a long time. I don't remember the reason why that happened that way, but Kathy was only here maybe 5, 6, 7 years. And I think she was recruited to go to several places, but I can't remember, what happened. We need to get her on one day.
She was here last Friday.
I know.
And
the Drews. I love the Drews.
The Drews.
She's something else, man. She is something else. All right, Egg Yolk Cafe this morning. A lot going on. Let's get things rolling this morning with some news headlines from WITN. We have General Manager Mark Gentner from our local NBC affiliate here this morning. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Henry. Good morning, everyone. One local health department is making sure they'll be prepared for emergency situations. The Pitt County Health Department is hosting an emergency preparedness exercise today. The exercise will be a large-scale bioterrorism incident that public health staff and partnering agencies will have to deal with and treat, pretending it's a real-life situation. Because of the exercise, the Department of Health will close at noon today, and the Environmental Health Division on 5th Street will be closed all day. The previous owner of a pit bull pleaded guilty Thursday to felony animal cruelty charges. Police say 25-year-old Aaron Hatcher of Greenville was sentenced to 2 years of supervised probation and 100 hours of community service. Hatcher also must pay a $972 in restitution and court costs. He remains in jail on unrelated charges. It was September 2014 when Greenville police say officers responded to an apartment on Kristen Drive in reference to numerous complaints about drug and gang activity. During the search, officers found a young female pit bull puppy with a duct tape around her head. The dog's ears had been cut off. The dog has since healed and is now thriving in her forever home. An Eastern Carolina school says a principal has resigned after news of his arrest last month in Virginia when it became public. Bertie County Schools says Ricky Ely resigned as principal of Bertie High School yesterday. Ely had a court date Thursday in Petersburg, Virginia on charges he left the scene of an accident and gave false statements to police. Superintendent Elaine White says the district is disappointed in the charges against Ely, who has been principal for the past 4 years. His attorney, Todd Stone, said in a statement that Ely called the police when the wreck happened and stayed at the scene. In quote, "This case is a good example of why people are presumed innocent until proven guilty," said Stone. "I expect the charge to be dismissed after a judge hears the evidence," end quote. School says a 20-year employee will be on leave until November 30th when his resignation takes effect. Superintendent says they've already begun selecting an interim principal for the high school. And finally, the French Terror Act attack is prompting some North Carolina universities to boost security at athletic events. Both North Carolina State and East Carolina University announced plans on Thursday to increase security at home football games. With the Pirates' next home game about a week away, ECU police say they're honing their own game plan. Chief Gerald Lewis says in addition to seeing more officers on the ground, expect to arrive at the gates earlier. And, quote, we're going to have to enforce our policies regarding bags and umbrellas, signs with poles on them, things of that nature. I would anticipate people would see a little bit of a delay, end quote. Chief Lewis added there are other plans they will not discuss. And in quote, anytime you have an act of terrorism, they want people to change their game plans, to change their lifestyle. And we don't want that at Eastern Carolina University. And that's your WITN News Update.
All right, thank you much. Let's check our weather now. Here's Trent McGee with our weekend weather update. What you got?
It's going to finish out the day today with sunshine, 62 for the high lows tonight, around 39 degrees if you're out about watching any high school football. Second round action tonight for your Saturday, a high of 59. Plenty of sunshine on tap with lows in the mid-40s. And for your Sunday, rain chance comes back into the forecast, 30% chance with a high of 54 degrees and lows in the upper 30s, making way for a cool Monday with a high of just 49 degrees on Monday. Plenty of sunshine, lows in the upper 20s.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mark. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
The Nutcracker is coming to Greenville, and we're going to have one of the members of the cast coming up here in a couple of minutes also. We're waiting for the trustees to show up. Bob Plyman showed. I think everybody's bleary-eyed, a little late night last night watching the football game. But we're going to have some of the ECU trustees join us here as well. Live at the Egg Yolk Cafe. We'll get Frank on to talk about what's new at the Egg Yolk. All that and more coming up. We'll be back with more live this morning at the Egg Yolk Cafe right after this. All right, welcome back live this morning at the Egg Yolk Cafe on Red Banks Road. Good to have everybody with us. We've got some of East Carolina University's finest here with us this morning. Always good to have the trustees stop by when the ECU Board of Trustees are in town. They got a meeting today. They met in committees yesterday, and we've got three of them here. Only three showed. I invited everybody, and only three of you showed up. What's up with that? It either says something about me or about your board. I don't know what it says.
Well, Henry, it says something about us. We love you.
Steve Jones from Yadkin Bank, who, of course, is the chairman of the ECU board. Bob Plyman, my old friend from Greensboro, is on the board. And Kel Norman from Sanford, North Carolina, in town for the ECU board meetings this morning. Let me start with you, Mr. Chairman. You got to be happy this morning. Pirates got a win last night.
Well, let me tell you what. Whenever the Pirates get a victory, it's a good day in Greenville.
That was pretty convincing win last night.
They looked good, didn't they?
Yeah. They did.
Yeah, that was fun to watch.
They did. You guys meet. How often does the board meet?
We meet 5 times a year.
Yeah.
And so this will be our last meeting. And as you know, we're kind of getting our search committee for the new chancellor started here in Ernst. We've had our first meeting. We've got our leadership working group meeting right now and going through and doing some public forums, some surveys, and then we meet on December 16th in Raleigh, where President-elect Spellings, who, by the way, nice hire by the Board of Governors, in my opinion. I think she's going to be great for the state, and get that process off to a good start.
Let's come back to that. Let me talk to Bob Plyman here, who, again, is a member of the ECU Board of Trustees, businessman from Greensboro. Bob, good to have you. How are you?
I'm doing great, Henry. Thanks for having us on this morning.
Absolutely, great.
Good day to be a Pirate.
You got that right. Every day's a good day, but it's really good when you win a football game. And we just had Heather Macy in here. Heather's going to have a full house this morning at Minji. They're playing a women's basketball game at 11:30. We've all got a conflict, and that's what I was going to ask you, because we got a groundbreaking this morning. Very exciting. We've got one of the largest and probably priciest projects in the history of Greenville. Groundbreaking this morning. Hadn't been a whole lot of publicity on it, but the new student center, the groundbreaking will take place this morning. That's going to be an exciting project.
Oh, this is really exciting. It's a new student center on the East Campus. It's going to be a big center, a big project. Groundbreaking this morning at 11:30. I hope you'll be there. I know you will. We've got 2 student centers going up right now. We got the one over on the West Campus. The groundbreaking was about 3 months ago, and now we got this one going up. And then we've got the projects downtown with the Millennial Campus. It's an exciting time to be in the Pirates.
A lot of good things happen. Let me bring in Kel Norman. Kel is a new member of the board. Kel and I are old friends because we served for many years together on the ECU Foundation, and Kel was the guy who handled the money for the ECU Foundation and did an incredible job. I don't know how many hours, Kel, you spent handling, investing the money for the foundation for ECU, trying to create enough money to create some scholarships for kids that otherwise might not get to ECU. But first of all, thank you for all your years of service doing that, because you were the guy that created a lot of wealth for ECU. And I got to tell you, I don't know if you guys know this or not, there's something called the UNC Fund, where a lot of the other schools in the system invest their money and then get returns. But Kel Norman was investing our money and beating them every time. You're the man, Kel.
Well, thank you, Henry. It's a pleasure to be on the board. I just came on in July, so I'm a freshman and learning a lot. It's overwhelming when you see the size of this enterprise and all the different facets that are involved with the university and the Brody School of Medicine. I've got a lot more to learn, but it's a lot of fun. Henry and I do go back for 15 years now with the ECU Foundation, which I still am a member of, and I actually took over as the chair of the investment committee from Bob Plyben, and that was back in.
Bob, did you get as good returns as Kel has?
No.
I want to say back in 2000, 2001, I have a great committee, and we have done well, and we have outperformed the UNC fund, but we manage the portfolio very differently, and they typically perform better in bad volatile times because they have a lot of alternative investments. But they're also a very good fund, and we have a portion of our assets allocated to the UNC fund. So I don't want to take all the credit. We have been very fortunate the last 5-6 years in outperforming them, but I've got a great committee, so it's not just me. But thank you.
See, there's a sign of a good leader. He's deflecting all the praise to somebody else. All right, I'm going to ask you all three this question, so listen carefully. ECU is about to hire a new chancellor. It'll be the first time in 12 years the university has had a new leader. Steve Ballard is stepping down in May, and the university's going to have to bring in a new leader. Under you, you guys will be the decision makers on it as a search committee led by our able chairman here, Mr. Jones. But Chairman Jones, as we embark on the next era of East Carolina University, what kind of a chancellor do we need?
Well, I tell you, Henry, I think an important thing to say is I think I have an opinion, you have an opinion, all the board has an opinion, but our leadership working group that we're going through right now is going through to get feedback from our community. And we need to hear from all of the groups, students, alumni, the Greenville community, Eastern North Carolina community, on what type of leader we need next. And we'll have those results, just like I said earlier, December 16th, and then we'll put our fingerprint on it. But in my opinion, we need somebody that's passionate about Eastern North Carolina and be able to drive our university forward.
When will a new chancellor be hired? I know they probably won't start until sometime in the summer, but when will the decision be made on who the new chancellor will be?
We hope to have our final 3 candidates to President-elect Spellings in April, and then for her to choose among those 3 the final candidate who she would recommend to you guys at the Board of Governors sometime hopefully at your April meeting would be best case.
And the idea would be to have this person in place in Greenville on the ground ready to go for the new academic year next year.
Correct.
And so in August.
It's July 1 would be the start date.
Right. Bob Plyben, what do you think? You've been around East Carolina a long time. You've seen the incredible growth here and a lot of the great things that have happened in Eastern North Carolina. What kind of a person do you think needs to be the next leader of the university?
Well, Henry, Eastern North Carolina really needs an economic engine running, and East Carolina is a catalyst for that. So we need someone that understands the economics of Eastern North Carolina, and as Steve said, is passionate about Eastern North Carolina, not just East Carolina University. And beyond that, the Brody School of Medicine is critical to Eastern North Carolina. And we've got to have a leader that's going to make this a sustainable model for East Carolina University. So that's what we're looking for.
Kel Norman, what are your thoughts about the new chancellor hire?
Again, not to repeat what Steve and Bob have already said, but As I was mentioning earlier, it's such a huge enterprise, almost $1 billion enterprise, and we need a chancellor that's going to not only understand the Brody School of Medicine, which is a very complex issue, but look at all the growth that we've had under Chancellor Ballard, with the School of Engineering, the dental school, all the new programs, a new conference for our athletics. We need a chancellor that understands athletics. I think that's a big part of this university, and I think they have big shoes to fill. The Chancellor Ballard has done a great job here and we've achieved a lot in these last 10, 11 years. So I think it's going to be someone who certainly has passion for this region of Eastern North Carolina, but also is a very diverse multitasker.
Mm-hmm. Bob, it strikes me, you and I have been around longer than these two guys. East Carolina started as a teacher's college. Yes. And here we are in 2015, we're actually de-emphasizing the School of Education. We've always had a great teacher program, but it's sad to say there's just not as much demand for that curriculum these days. But Chairman Jones, we've got a brand new School of Engineering here. There's a lot of things. The world has changed so dramatically even in the last 10 years. And you got to give it to the leadership and to you guys for recognizing the need for that and changing with it. Now we're emphasizing things like engineering and programs that kids want, because that's the future. That's where people are going to be able to go out and make a good living.
Absolutely. And, in speaking with our, we chose Whit Kiefer as our search firm, and speaking with our person at Whit Kiefer, she thinks that, given all the complexities, the dental school, the Brody School of Medicine, the School of Engineering, our athletic program, when you look at the complexity of that, she thinks we're going to be able to find a leader, a dynamic leader, that's going to be able to serve us well as we head into our next chapter.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we're going to have more interest in this job, and of course we're at the stage now where we're going to start finding out who's interested in the ECU job. And guys, I think there's so many wonderful things happening here in Greenville with East Carolina University. This is going to be a plum job that a lot of folks are going to want. So it's going to be interesting to see who emerges as the next chancellor at ECU.
No question.
And I'm glad you guys are going to be involved in that and making that decision. What else is on your mind? Anybody else got any burning thoughts about things happening at ECU that you want to talk about this morning?
Hey, Henry, one thing I'll just say is you were talking about the decrease in emphasis on the School of Education and the education programs where we were known as a teacher's college. Our university now offers such a diverse array of educational programs, everything except for a law school. So I think that replacement of the educational programs, which were predominantly women, has been a need that I think East Carolina University's really identified, where the School of Engineering and Dental School has typically known to be predominantly men. What we have fulfilled is occupational therapy, physical therapy. I look at our nursing program, so many things that are more for females, that those programs are growing and they're on fire. I mean, there's so many students trying to get in our nursing program and occupational physical therapy programs, and they've got to have a minimum of like a 3.6 GPA. It's phenomenal. It is. It's very, very competitive, and East Carolina is known around not only the state but the country to have some of the best programs for women there. So.
That's a great point. And if you haven't driven through the West Campus recently and seen the West Campus out by the Viaduct complex, people here in Greenville, we take for granted all the things that we see with ECU. But if people here living in town, if you haven't driven out there, you need to drive out there and see what's happening around the dental school, the nursing school, the family medicine building. I mean, it's a pretty impressive campus over there. And now, Bob, as you said, the West Campus, they're even going to put a student center right in the middle of all that, and they've cleared the area out and getting ready to start construction on that. So a lot of great things happening. You had another point?
I did. I just wanted to mention the biggest thing we owe the kids going to East Carolina is when they get out of East Carolina, they get a job, a really good job. And that's what's really great about our program. You look at nursing, you look at engineering, you look at the dental school, the Brody School. All of these kids, 100% of them, have a really good paying job when they graduate from East Carolina University. That's really important.
A little different than my days back in the 70s.
No question, no question. Henry, I do want to take a minute before you, we got to head out to our meeting here in a few minutes, but I want to thank you for all your countless hours. I mean, a lot of people don't know, but I talk to you on weekends and all the hard work you're doing with the Board of Governors, and that's a complex. They read about it in the paper all the time in Raleigh and say, why are they having all these issues and all the things going on? But it's a body of 32 personalities, and to kind of navigate that, and I think you do a wonderful job of doing that, and really for not just for Greenville, but for the system and Eastern North Carolina. So I want to, let everybody know how much time and energy you put in there does not go unnoticed by me, our board, this university, and for the system. So thank you for your dedication to that.
I appreciate you saying that. I know you guys have got to go. Again, the groundbreaking this morning for the new student center, which is going to be built, by the way, just off 10th Street. If you know where the Wendy's was on 10th Street, that's where the groundbreaking is going to take place this morning. And soon, you're going to see a huge new complex rise out of the ground that's going to change the look on 10th Street, Bob. It's really going to be different. And Kel, that's going to
parking deck.
And a parking deck. East Carolina's first parking deck. ECU had no parking decks. Greenville had no parking decks. And now in 3 years, we're going to have 3 of them, which is pretty cool. But Kel, that student center is going to be exciting. We haven't even talked about the bond referendum, which of course, you're going to be hearing more about as we get closer to the March date on that, the March 15th vote on that. But, again, East Carolina did very well with the legislature on that. A new $90 million project that will come to Greenville if that passes, Steve. So that's exciting, too.
It really is. It's going to be exciting for the region, no question.
All right. Kel, good to see you. Kel Norman.
Thank you very much for having me this
Bob
morning.
Plyman, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Henry.
All right. And Chairman Steve Jones of the ECU Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Henry, for having
you guys. Thanks for all you do for our alma mater.
Great.
And
Thank
go
you very
Pirates.
much.
And I forgot to ask you the main question. Will we become bowl eligible? Let's talk about something really important. No, we won't talk about that. I won't put you on the spot. But it was a great win last night.
Great.
All right, let's get a break in. We'll be back. More Talk of the Town coming up right after this. Okay, welcome back live this morning at the Egg Yolk Cafe, one of our favorite spots in town. If you haven't been to the Egg Yolk yet, you don't know what you're missing. This is a great breakfast and lunch restaurant right here on Red Banks Road, right next to the AMF bowling alley. Just kind of across the street from the Kaufman's complex here on Red Banks Road. And Frank Iskander is the owner here at the Egg Yolk. And Frank joins us now. Frank, thanks for having us again. A great spot this morning. I got to tell you, I was in last week for lunch, and I had your chicken salad for the first. You're famous for your breakfast.
That's right.
But people need to know also that you have great lunches as well.
We sure do. We sure do. We have
some of the best chicken salad I've ever had.
All homemade.
Yeah.
Made right here. We have a great lunches. We have a lot of sandwiches, and we have, of course, hamburgers. We have number one seller, believe it or not, is shrimp and grits.
No kidding.
Yeah, shrimp and grits is
shrimp and grits. I have not had that. Now my wife probably has.
It's got nothing to do with breakfast. Nothing to do with eggs.
Right.
But it works.
But you can come here and get anything for breakfast. I mean, I love the fact that you got the shredded kind of hashed brown potatoes. You got the American style potatoes.
Yes, sir.
You can get regular pancakes. And one of the things I think that you're pushing right now that's new, if people hadn't tried it yet, is the butter pecan pancakes.
Yes, sir.
Now, I love butter pecan ice cream, so I need to try those.
It's really going good. And now the weather is getting cooler. And what's the best thing for the weather when the weather gets cooler? Soup.
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
have homemade soup fresh every day.
Awesome.
During the winter month.
Now, what kind of soups are you going to have this year?
We'll have every week.
Vegetable,
we'll have a different one.
yeah.
Vegetable. Mostly chicken
and rice.
Chicken
yeah.
rice.
I love that stuff. Love
we'll
that stuff.
We'll have all different kind of soup every day. Every week we'll make different kind.
Now, you open 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
Give us your hours.
7 till 2 during the week. Saturday included. Sunday we'll open at 8 till 2.
Yeah, 8 o'clock. Yeah, we come in after church a lot of times. This is a great spot. If you haven't discovered the Egg Yolk Cafe yet, you need to check it out. It is absolutely one of the best spots in town for a great brunch, breakfast, or lunch. What else is you had corned beef hash here at one time. You still doing that?
Yeah, we still doing
What else
that.
is new for lunch?
Well, the lunch is, what's new is the soup.
Yeah.
You can get a chicken soup with sandwich for under $7.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
it's really good, and we'll give you a good portion of a chicken soup, and of course the sandwich is great.
But I'm telling you, try the chicken salad.
That's going really good.
Try the
We're actually-
chicken salad.
We're
I
actually
love it.
selling this by the pint, and by people ordering
take home.
to take home. Yes,
Awesome.
sir.
How about during the holidays? You got special hours?
No special hours.
You'll be closed on Thanksgiving and Christmas, but open otherwise?
Yeah, definitely we'll open every day.
So Black Friday, get out here and have some breakfast before you hit the stores.
That's right. That's right. We open at 7 o'clock on Friday.
All right, great stuff. Frank Iskander from the Egg Yolk Cafe. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. I just want to take the opportunity to thank the community for having a great 2 years. I've been here 2 years, and I want to thank everybody for the support. And we're having a great 2 years.
Yeah, love it. Come see Frank.
All right.
I'll just your lady there, who's the hostess.
Shirley.
Shirley. I was just remembering Shirley. She and my wife worked together at the Three Steers restaurant back in the 70s, for crying. I mean, Shirley knows everybody in town.
Just about. Yeah, just about. She's been with me since day one.
Yeah, she's great. All right, thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
All right, the Egg Yolk, that's where we are this morning. All right, it's 8:46, 14 now, in front of 9 o'clock. We got to get a break in. We'll come back more live from the Egg Yolk Cafe on Red Banks Road. And we may have some sports coming up. We might have another celebrity that was not scheduled to appear this morning. Are we going to have a community college update this morning? The chairman of the State Community College Board is in here. I didn't know that he was going to show up. If we can get the knife out of his face and fork out of his face, maybe we can get him to talk to us a little bit. We will be back with more Talk of the Town right after this. Back on Talk of the Town, 10 in front of 9 o'clock. Welcome into Friday morning Talk of the Town. Henry Hinton, Trent McGee live this morning. And now Scott Shook, who you hear doing the stock market report here every day on 103.7 at about 5:03. Either he or Thomas every day. How you doing, Shooky?
Doing great. How about yourself,
The
Big Hen?
chairman of the North Carolina State Community College Board is here with us. You doing good?
Yeah, doing great.
All right, let's
Great
talk
morning.
community. You're
No.
normally on, we talk community colleges. I got McGee, you up here. Let's talk ECU football.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's talk some, we hadn't talked about that a lot this morning. We talked about it some. What'd you see last night? I mean, was that a turning point, or was just Central Florida just so bad that we really don't know anything that we didn't know before? And I mean, do you give us any chance against Cincinnati?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we got a chance. But the good thing about it, two things were great about last night. First of all, we won. Second of all, Central Florida is terrible. So that's good. I mean, I hate Central Florida and have hated Central Florida for a very long period of time. And, and the pain after last year is suffered. I still can't watch the replay, and they showed it last night. I had
I've
to turn
never watched
away.
that replay. I
And
watched it happen
It's in their
live.
media guide.
Yeah.
I refuse to watch that replay.
I can't stomach it.
That was the most painful moment in ECU football history.
Yeah, well, anybody that was in the stands in '93 and remembers what happened.
What was 93?
Well, that was when they came up and Marcus Crandall was quarterback, and their guy
Oh,
took
he
out Marcus
broke
Crandall
his leg. Oh, that's
broke his
right.
leg, and then
I
taunted
forgot
the
about
crowd
that.
afterwards.
Yeah, I forgot about
the
that.
hatred goes back a long time.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it was
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Trent, you were
I
like
forgot
4,
that was
so-
Central Florida, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Andrew Bays has talked about that before. How Coach Logan recounted that and would tell the guys that before, use that as a motivational speech before games.
I understand that the guy that did it, the next year when they came back, they had to change his number because they knew they were coming after him, so they finally figured out who it was. But it's great. That was a great win.
All right, now, so East Carolina and Cincinnati next Saturday, a week from tomorrow, in Dowdy-Ficklin. It's going to be a noon kickoff, and hopefully the weather's going to be good. So, all of a sudden I'm more optimistic about that game. I feel like, Cincinnati was picked to win the league this year, and they've had their problems, but they had a quarterback that went out as well. McGee, Gunnar Keel, their quarterback is back. How good is he? Can the ECU secondary handle him?
That's going to be the biggest question. I think ECU can score points with Cincinnati. Can they stop Gunnar Keel in that offense? Because they're much more physical, they're bigger on the outside, and they're just better than what ECU saw against UCF last night. They're a good football team. It's going to be a tough game. They can score, but can the defense? And the secondary had a few issues early in the game last night. they got it corrected quickly, but it's a much different team than what they saw last night.
Yeah, when the game started last night, Shook, I was looking at the quarterback from Central Florida move the ball right down the field, and they had wide open receivers, and the first thing that went through my mind is, oh no, Gunnar Keel will murder these guys if they do this.
Well, they scored the first touchdown, and then ECU went on a 44-0 run, so that turned out to be okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. What's happening with the community colleges? You're getting ready to kick. I know you did a great job. I saw you with the governor speak in Kinston the other day to kick off the campaign for the bond referendum here in North Carolina. How's that going?
It looks to be going well. I mean, the community colleges through the budget cycle did well. Obviously, with the bond, if that passes, and we all hope that it does, community college system is fully behind that. That's $350 million in needed construction and renovation and repair that we need. And our needs are about $2 billion as all 58 community colleges around the state. So we look forward to that, but everything's going well.
And in terms of, I know Jim, we had Steve Jones in here this morning, the president of Yadkin Bank, one of his top guys, Jim Rose, who's now on your board. You basically appointed him with the governor to the bond advisory committee. So Jim's going to be on the show in the next few weeks. The community colleges really do need this bond referendum to pass, do they not?
Yeah, and Jim is really excited that gave him that opportunity. I think in
kinda.
Yeah, that's right.
He called me and said, "What have I gotten myself into?"
He called me. I just said, "You're welcome." No, Jim's a great guy, and we'll do a great job with that. And he's in charge of helping raise money to help advertise the campaign, along with other key partners, university and other groups that have a vested interest in seeing this pass. And we look forward to that. And Jim will know and have all the inside details about how all that's going. But he's excited to be a part of it, and it's good to have him there.
How will the bond referendum, if it passes, we talked this morning about the $90 million project that would be coming to Greenville at ECU at the East Carolina University Life Sciences building. How will the bond referendum impact Eastern North Carolina with the community college system if it passes?
Well, I forgot the exact number, but of the $350 million, it's probably upwards around $40 million in Eastern North Carolina. And it depends on how you count Eastern North Carolina. Do you all go all the way down to Cape Fear and up? Sometimes we tend to leave Wilmington out of that. But, Pitt Community College, I think, is about a $14 million hit to Pitt Community College, so much needed there. So it's an injection of capital into a lot of areas, either larger colleges that have been able to renovate and add, or smaller colleges that haven't had the opportunity to do so, and much needed renovation work to existing buildings. And our capacity utilization is high. So I mean, most of the time that our buildings that have the ability, they're full, they're being used, and to get repair and other equipment and things of that nature, it is a big deal, because in some counties, you well know that in the community college system, the community college system itself, the state and the General Assembly furnish the people that go in the buildings, but the actual buildings are provided by county and local funds. And there are a lot of counties in Eastern North Carolina haven't had the money to invest in community colleges in the past 10 to 15 years, like other places, say like Wake Tech or Central Piedmont, that have larger centers and had Central Piedmont, I think, is a $250 million bond referendum passed by the county just for Central Piedmont. So Pamlico Community College doesn't have that. So any support they get is great.
All right, so we hope people will support the bond referendum coming up March 15th. It'll be on the ballot. All right, let's check a few sports headlines. We talked about sports. We've got East Carolina basketball men and women this morning. The women play this morning at 11:30.
Yep.
And the men play tonight at 11 o'clock. How does Jeff Lebo get his team prepared for an 11 p.m. game on the West Coast? Here's McGee on sports.
We'll find out tonight when the Pirates take on number 14 ranked Cal at 11 o'clock tonight. That game is out in Berkeley as a part of the Las Vegas Invitational.
The women, on
TV? It's on the Pac-12 network. I don't know if we can pick it up.
We're going to get that here? Maybe we will.
I don't know. Is that part of CBS Sports, or is that?
I'm not sure about the Pac-12 network.
I'm not sure we're going to get that game. I hope we do.
And the women are in action this morning, taking on Presbyterian at 11:30 is that tip-off time. The women are 3-0 and 3-0 all time against Presbyterian. High school football tonight, D.H. Conley will welcome Northern Durham. In the second round of the state playoffs, J.H. Rose will travel to Fayetteville to take on Cape Fear. That game you can hear live on 94.3 The Game, 7 o'clock pregame, 7:30 kickoff. Aiden Grifton will be on the road at Kinston. And right now in golf, Harold Varner 3 shots off the lead at the RSM McGladrey Classic there at Sea Island. So.
Two big high school games tonight, Rose High, Conley, and then if they win, that'll set up maybe the biggest high school football game in the history
backyard
of Pitt
brawl
County
rematch, yeah, absolutely.
Next Friday night between Rose and Conley. That's going to be something else. Also, another reminder that the Redskins and the Panthers game will be heard on 94.3 The Game this week, not on 103.7. We got Duke basketball Sunday afternoon. So the Panthers on 94.3 The Game starting at noon on Sunday. And that's our sports update, brought to you by the Tire Realty Group, the official real estate team of the ECU Pirates. Be like Clint and Nadine, a local couple that live in Winterville. They had their home on the market with another agent. It sat there for 246 days without selling, and finally they switched over to Tire Realty. Homer Tire fired up his aggressive marketing machine, and the home sold in just 29 days. Remember, with the Tire Realty Group, they sit down with you, agree on a price and a deadline. If the deadline passes, the home not sold, they buy the home from you. And Tire Property Management also looking for great rental properties right now. Call the only agents I would call if I had my home for sale, if I wanted to sell it, the Tire Realty Group at 758-HOME or guaranteed sell, nc.com. Remember, you are not obligated to a thing. If they don't sell the home, you can fire them and pay them nothing. Call them at 758-HOME, the Tire Realty Group. Thanks to Scott Shook. Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good to be here. It might be the weekend that the Panthers' undefeated season comes to an end.
Oh,
he thinks so too.
You calling for the Redskins to win?
Yeah, my Redskins are playing good now. They won 1 in a row, and that's a good thing.
I'll take some of that action.
They're on a roll.
I'll bet you lunch at the restaurant of your choice.
All right.
I'll bet you lunch here at or breakfast here at the Egg Yolk that the Panthers will win.
You're on.
Thanks to also Frank Iskander for having us, Jeff Phipps from the Nutcracker, the ECU trustees. McGree, have a great weekend.
You too, man. See ya.
See you Monday, everybody.